Hello. Oh, sorry. This is not the topic today. Today's topic is where is the hero? This the Fetch API. Okay. Today we are going to learn another superpower of a browser. So maybe we didn't know. Many of us don't know that the power of the browser. Okay. So this is the feature of a browser. So and it is just helping for a JavaScript. So let me jump into what is the fetch API, what is the need of that, and how to use that one. All these things we are going to learn. This is the most important topic in JavaScript. Of course, I used to say every topic is important. I can't skip anything. So let's see. Suppose if you see, so far we are, I think at least in our series, so far we are just dealing with the client mission. Okay, we didn't touch the server. So now let's see what is a client and what is server, what is the need of server, and few things. I'm not going to explain in detail here because to understand fetch, at least we should know what is a server. So if you see, suppose Amazon or Netflix, any application, suppose if you just place that application here inside this the server, just imagine this is server. You just believe this is server, okay, or so allow Amazon. So just mention Amazon server. So we can access Amazon through internet with the help of browser from anywhere in the world, from any machine. So these are the clients. Okay, these are the clients. So client one, whether it will be a mobile or a laptop or a tab. So we can call it as a client. So these people, we are getting information from the server. So if you see, suppose this is the database. Suppose if you just place a database in a one server. Okay. So we are going to learn everything in detail. Don't worry. What is a server and what is a database? How many types of databases are there? How many types of servers are there? Can we can build our own server with the help of Node.js and Express.json. So we can learn all those things. So here, just simple understanding. So if you just so we need to get a lot of data from the server. So whenever you go for a login screen, we will enter username and password. And the browser, if you click on a button, the browser will send a request to the server to validate whether our credentials are right or not. Right? So we need to send some request. We should send some request from a client to the server, and server will return the response. So these two things are important. What is that? Request and response. Okay, but how to send a request? How to send a request to the server? And if you get the response, how to utilize, how to read that response, and based on that results, okay, according to our requirement, how to build the application. So that's the very important thing. Of course, in this session, we are going to just I'm giving an introduction to the fetch API, and we need to understand how this fetch API is working inside the browser in the event loop and the microtask queue. Because from last few sessions, we are discussing about the event loop. We understand what is a task queue and callback queue, and today we are going to learn how what is the importance of microtask queue. Okay, in the last few sessions, we understand how set timers it is working and how even listeners are working. Okay, and now today we are going to learn how the fetch is working with a simple example, and what is the importance of microtask queue, especially with the fetch API, and what is the competition between the microtask queue and a callback queue or a task queue. So then, of course, I'm going to explain in detail about the fetch API and promises and all those things. Okay, promises. Now we are entering into the promise. You will see the promise now in JavaScript. That is my promise. I am giving a promise to you that I will try to teach you everything simply so that if you learn properly, you will get a job or you will succeed. And you should give me a promise that you should attend every session and do practice and revise and do some coding challenges and all these things, then you will succeed. So we should both should give a promise. Okay, don't worry. First of all, without explaining what is promise, you should not waste the time. So let's say, suppose if you want to send a request from the client to the server, suppose this is the HTML file and this HTML file is there in my machine. I want to send a request to the server. Okay, right now we don't have a server, right? Okay, no problem. Someone has provided some simple server for us to test or learn few things. So this is a JSON placeholder dot this one. Okay, simple. You can just type fake APIs. Okay, in a Google, definitely you will get in the top JSON placeholder free fake REST API. Okay, this is it will help us to test um, and learn few things. So if you just scroll down, so he has provided some examples so that with the help of this we can learn, we can do practice for a practice purpose, because this is hosted somewhere. I'm not sure where he has to hosted, so it is available with this URL. So now let's see. So browser is very very powerful. You don't need to install anything, any other thing to send a request from a browser to a server. Simple, simple, simple. Already this fetch is a part of window. Okay, window object in a browser, so you can use directly. Fetch, what do you want to fetch? So just give the address of that the server and the information. So here is just giving https json placeholder dot typecode.com to do's, or is just giving /1 so that it will give based on that particular ID. Okay, no problem. Let me give a same thing here. So I'm just okay here. We need to go with the then method and all those things. Okay, before that, let's see what it will return. That is the most important thing. So if you want to learn JavaScript, you need patience, you need to do practice, then only you will understand. Once you understand JavaScript, definitely you will fall in love with JavaScript. After that, you will succeed automatically. So I'm just taking some variables where suppose output. Let's see what it will return. So just simply with the help of fetch API, I'm giving this URL. This is the if you give this URL to the fetch, it will send a request from our browser to the server, and server will send a response. So that response will store in the output. Let's see what is there. Okay, first we need to put a console.log, right? Okay, do console.log output output. So just refresh. Boom. Observe carefully what it is. Promise, promise, promise. So finally we are reaching the very good situation in JavaScript. We are going to learn promises. Of course, in this series and in the next few videos, after completing next few videos on different topic, we are going to enter into the promises section. Okay. Now I'm saying I'm giving a promise to you that I will try to explain each and every topic, okay, easily for you with free of cost. Okay, that is pending stage. Okay, because this is pending, right? My promise still is in pending stage. So if that is fulfilled, okay, every promise has a state. So our politicians will go promise, even kids also giving promises that my son used to say that, dad, this time, okay, I will do good. Okay, I will perform well in the examinations or something. Even I don't ask him to perform well in the examinations, because we know, right, this is hell, this education system. Okay, sorry. Okay, don't worry. So this is the promise. So now you should give as a student, you should give a promise to you. You don't need to give a promise to me. Okay, you should give a promise to you that you should do practice. Okay, every day you should practice. Okay, so this is the promise. Don't worry. I don't want to waste the time, your time or my time. This is the promise. That means it is written in the promise. Okay, promise have different states. Okay, Always first it will start with the pending, and if it is fulfilled we are happy, if it is fail we will be sad. That thing, right? This is the simple thing. So if you understand what is promise in real life, same thing in JavaScript also. But I don't know, I think minimum 50 to 60% of the students, or who even you who are working in IT industry, are struggling to understand the promise. Even I'm also initially. But I've learned from Akshay Saini tutorials like Namaste JavaScript and few other things. Right now, at least I'm comfortable. So I will try to explain simply for you. I will try. So this is the promise. Okay, it is written in the promise. This is the introduction to the promise. But let's see what is the use of promise and all those things we can learn later. We are sending a request to the server, and it is giving the response, right? Let's see here. We are not getting the results. We are not getting the students details. If you see, it should return some run script. It is giving some results. But here, whenever you just do fetch and if you give a URL, it is giving a promise. Promise means it may fulfill later. Asynchronous, right? It doesn't give a results immediately because we don't know how much time it will take to send a request from the client to the server. Suppose the server is in USA, it should travel through the internet. It should reach the server, and server should do some operation. Server should ready with the data, and it should send the request, send the response again to the client machine, because the client machine is there in India. So it will take some milliseconds. Okay, even milliseconds also matter, right? That is also the time. Okay, so it will work asynchronously. So we are learning asynchronous programming. Set timeout asynchronously, event handlers working asynchronously. Now this is the most important topic. Fetch is also works asynchronously. So JavaScript, what is the nature of JavaScript? JavaScript is a synchronous programming language. JavaScript and time doesn't wait for anyone in the world. Okay, it will do the job and it will take rest, right? So now, okay, let's see how to take the response. Okay, right now I'm just explaining how to use the fetch API. So how to build the promise, what all the things we can learn later. So now simply just use this syntax. So because since we didn't learn what is promise and what are the different states of the promise, and what is then and all these things, because we should understand what is callback functions, and we should understand what is the callback hell, and then how to create a simple promise, what are the different states, what is the request and what is the response. So callback functions, then only we will understand what is happening. But simple, because fetch, because it is giving a promise, and if you want to see the response, just use the then method. Okay, then method, what it is getting the response. Okay, that is the responsibility of a promise. Okay, it will take care of that. Once the it went to the server and it got the response immediately, that means the state is fulfilled. So fulfilled, and it will return the response. And after that also, once we got the response, what we are doing, we are just passing to another then method. Okay, why we are passing all these things, slowly we are going to learn, don't worry. So here, so this response is in a JSON format. So now it is going to print that in the console.log. That's it. So now let's see whether we are getting the output or not. So just refresh our browser here. So if you see, we got the response. We are getting one, who's that, user details, right? We have given, we're trying to get a to do's. Okay, fantastic. So we are getting some to do details. So if suppose if you give, if you don't mention the ID, what will happen? It will give all the to do's. Okay, how many to do's are there in that server? So if it is returning 200 items, 200 items. So if you see, 200 details are there. So 0 to 99 and 100 to 199, the length is 200. Like JavaScript is awesome. So if you see, so a lot of things are there. So we can go with a simple like /1 or 2 or something. So it's ID. So it will, because user ID is there, right? Or this ID, this ID based on this ID it will return. Suppose if we give a 14, so it will send the response of this in. this user ID, sorry, this ID. Okay, so just refresh. So if you give it 2, so we are getting the details of particular record which has the ID is equal to 2. So we are getting the response. So here this is working asynchronously, right? So it will take, because even set timeout and event handlers and fetch APIs, these are work asynchronously. So let's jump into the JavaScript runtime environment, how it is working. So here I'm writing console.log. End of the day, these are all it is also callback function. This is also callback function. This is the callback. So console.log start, and here console.log end. Save it. Fantastic. So now what will happen in the event loop? I will explain. Okay, in the JavaScript runtime environment. The first, it will create execution context, global execution context. Everyone knows about it. This is global execution context. And if you do console.log start, what is the first line? Console.log start, no problem. It will print output as a start. So here I'm just taking the new one. So what is the output now? It is a start. Fantastic. Now we are executing. The JavaScript is going to execute this line, whole line. Okay. So what will happen? It is asynchronous thing. What it will do? It will use this fetch. Okay, fetch. So previously set for set timers we have used this icon, like symbol. For event handler we have used this one. For fetch API, because I love this fetch APIs, that's why we can use this symbol. Okay, fetch API. So fetch API, it attach the fetch API and it will send a request to the server whatever it happens. So once it will get the, here we have a promise. Here we have a promise. Promise has attached to it because, so let's see, if you send a request to the server, it will return a promise. Okay, that it will, everything is like a callback. Okay, so we are going to learn in detail. So it will also, to execute, to get the response also, it will take some time, right? It will take some time. So imagine, suppose, okay, it will it will take care in the background. Meanwhile, what it will do, it will go to the next line, it will execute this one also, console.log end. So now if you see, this is end. Fantastic. After that, what it will do, what it will do, it will remove the execution context because it has executed all the lines in the particular JavaScript file. Boom, that global execution context is gone, and even to live is there, it is waiting for something to push from this task queue call stack. So if you see, once we got the response, why once we got the promise or we got the response, what it will do, it will, once it is there, it will push this thing into callback queue. No, it will push into the microtask queue. So finally we reach the microtask queue. So if it is a set timeout, it will send the call back to the task queue. If it is the event handler, it will send that call back to the task queue. So if it is a fetch, because we should give a high priority for this server request, because that is very important, right? So set timeout and event handlers are somewhat less important than definitely a fetch. So that's why we have created a separate queue. Suppose if you see, if you go to the Tirupati or any temple, we have a separate queue for that VIP line, right? We treat that they are very important people, but unfortunately they don't feel that remaining people are important. So that's unfortunate thing. So here, of course, here these people are very good. They will help each other. Okay, so this is a micro task queue. Okay, then what will happen? Event loop is still checking. So right now we don't have anything in the callback queue. right now we don't have anything in the callback, so no problem. So it will take, of course, highest priority for this microtask queue, so that I will give here a ranking. So this is number one and this is number two. So first it will check, event loop will check the call stack whether it is empty or not. If it is empty, now first it will check the microtask queue. If anything is there in the microtask queue, it will push that thing, it will push that thing into call stack, and it will execute that, it will invoke that callback function, so that it will create an execution context for that, it will perform that action and it will be gone. Okay, this is going to be happen. So now the important thing is, so let's see the output first for us, how it is working, because we have changed the code. So if you see start end, because it is working very fast, that's why we got it. So but it is coming after the end, right? That means first it is executed start, and then it is executed this line fetch. At the time it has attached that to the web API. Okay, it will take some milliseconds to get the response from the server, but still it is asynchronous. That's why it is going to execute the line number the 3, so it will print end. So it will remove the execution global execution context from the call stack after some time. So as we discussed, it will come to the microtask queue, and event loop will take care, and event loop will push the things into the call stack. Things are happening happily. So the question is, so if we have three things: set timeout, and event listener, and fetch API. If three things are there, how event loop will handle? Okay, okay. Of course, I will cover that in the next video in detail, but I will explain, because I hope you already understood. So the set time fetch has highest priority, and event listeners and set timeout have the second priority. So if you see, if you have, so just imagine, so before we have this execution context, suppose if we have three things. One is we have some promise by the fetch API. At the same time we have the set timeout. At the same time we have event listener. So if we attach three things in a sequence, so it will matter. So what will matter, this set timeout is depend on the timer. Suppose if we give a 5000 milliseconds, so it should start the count from 5000 milliseconds to 0, then only it will come to the callback queue, right? And this is event listener. So this is event listener. When it is going to push this callback function to the callback queue, that will depend on the user, because whenever user clicks on a button which is attached an event already, so that it will push that callback function to the callback queue. Suppose just imagine, here we have, suppose still the calls, this call stack is busy with doing some 10,000 lines of code, or 50,000 of lines of code in the between. So we got, suppose first just imagine we got this callback, that means star represents set time mode 1, and then we got this one already in the callback queue. After some time, after maybe few milliseconds, these people came very early, like normal people, janta people, and here vip people came after 1 hour than this normal people. But some in Tirupati, some programs are happening inside, so at the time they hold the queue. So just here we got, here we got after 1 hour, I'm saying after 1 hour. So right now the time is 6:21, and before that these people already came. He came, just imagine, he came at 7 o'clock. So if anything happening inside the call stack, if call stack is busy, global execution context is there, so everyone should wait. There is no rule that even though the call stack is busy, we can't push micro task, even it is very important. It is very important than the task queue, not than the call stack or global execution context things. So now after some time, suppose if you completed the execution of all the lines, now this is empty. So even though he came half an hour late, but he got the highest priority. So what it will do, the what event loop will do. So even if we have a three things, suppose imagine he came at 7 o'clock, one person came at 7:30, one person came at 8 o'clock, one person came at 9 o'clock, one person came at afternoon 1 o'clock. So if this call stack is empty at afternoon 1 o'clock, what will happen? So they will give higher priority for these people. So first it will move this one into here, and once the thing's done, he will go outside. After that, maybe naturally we will feel bad if we are there in this line. So because I came at 6:30, he came at 8 o'clock, he came at 9 o'clock, he came at 10 o'clock, he came at 1 o'clock, but they are coming in the VIP line. So this is done. Then this is going to be done by event loop. This is also gone now. So this is also gone. Ting ting. So if you see, just before moving this person, okay. Suppose if someone came again, someone came, someone came here. Since event loop will give a priority for these people only. Ting, ting, ting. He came at 1:10. Still, because event loop is pushing these people. So after that, once the microtask queue is empty, okay, then okay, people who are there in the normal line, now it's a turn for you to see the god and come out. Even they don't give enough time to pray the god inside the temple. They will throw out, go back. So this is what the JavaScript runtime environment and web API is handling different types of asynchronous things. Set timeout, event handler, and fetch API. So maybe if you're working with React, sometimes you will use Axios on different the libraries to handle the REST APIs. But end of the day, we are dealing with the promises. So it will come to the microtask queue. So hopefully you guys understood. I think I don't need to create one more video for this. So I have covered everything here. So set timeout and add event listeners and fetch API. These are asynchronous things. They should, they will come into the web API and they will follow this microtask queue or callback queue, and they should enter into the call stack at the right time with the help of event loop. So thanks event loop. At the same time, once again, I want to say thanks to Akshay Saini, because after watching Akshay Saini Namaste JavaScript only, I realized that okay, these things are very important, and I've learned. Okay, still I need to learn a lot. I hope you guys, if you follow the series one by one in a sequence, if you have done a practice, definitely it's not a big deal. It's very easy thing. So if you didn't practice or if you didn't watch everything, so please, okay, JavaScript will take some time to understand these things, but please spend some time, practice. Definitely you will understand. So these topics are very important, even though if you are going for an interview with 4 years of experience or 5 years of experience, 10 years experience people also, definitely you will get all these questions. Normally uh, they don't ask these questions for the freshers actually, but learn these things, because our goal is not to get a simple job, right? We should get a good job, or we should do some good things in the future. That's all for today on this video, and thank you for watching and doing practice. Bye bye, and see you in the next video. Bye bye.